Did you ever wish you had someone to tell you the truth about what it takes to run a successful business and live a fulfilling life? Well, my friend, you've come to the right place. So grab your favorite caffeinated jolt or cocktail and your courage and get ready to get to work. I'm Janessa Borges, a therapist, mindset coach for entrepreneurs, and a feisty Latina from Miami. I've been referred to as a trailblazing powerhouse with relentless energy and outside-the-box ideas. And I'm determined to teach you the exact tools you need to stop settling and start kicking some serious derriere. What do you say? Are you in? Then let's get started. Welcome to the Success Mindset for Entrepreneurs podcast. Welcome to the second episode of a three-part series with my personal business attorney and legal coach, Lisa Fraley. You know I like to keep these episodes short and sweet because you're busy creating an empire. Lisa specializes in helping entrepreneurs in legally protecting the business they work so hard to create. I asked Lisa the most asked and juiciest questions all entrepreneurs want answers to about business structures, trademark, copyright, and contracts. So sit back, grab a pen, and get ready to absorb all this life-changing info. Trust me, you won't want to miss 1 second. The second most important question I get, I think, are more common, and it's business structure. So we know there's many, but for the purposes, I think of our call today, if you can walk people through the difference between a sole prop versus an LLC and the importance, the kind, well, you know, everything that you know that I know that you've shared.
Okay. And this will be the short version.
The super short version.
Janessa knows I have several podcast episodes on the Legally Enlightened podcast that are 20 minutes or less about what's an LLC and when do you need it? What's an S Corp? Why should I have one? I also have my book, Easy Legal Steps, which are also good for your soul.
I have a copy.
Well, that is on Amazon, which has chapter 6 devoted to LLCs and S Corps. But this is the quick version to help you. There's also a chapter on sole proprietors as well. But so really, if you're a sole proprietor, this means that you are a sole business owner. It's just you hanging out your shingle. If you're a clinician, obviously you have to have your license first. You can only work with people in your state, but you hang out your shingle and say, I'm a licensed therapist and I'm ready to receive clients now. If you're a coach, this means that you've gone through your coach training program, or maybe you're in your coach training program and you are ready to receive paid clients and you tell the world, I'm a coach or becoming a coach and I'm ready to work with you. In other words, you don't have any legal entities set up. You don't have an LLC, you don't have an S Corp, you don't have a PC, you don't have a C Corp, you don't have anything. You just you. And the great thing about that is that that's the easiest way to get started. That's a bonus. But the bummer part about it is that you don't have legal liability in and of itself as a business structure, okay? That's partly why you need that informed consent and that client agreement as a non-licensed practitioner, because those help to establish some limitations of liability and protect you. But if you don't have a legal entity, then you and your business are considered one and the same legally, which means that if you do something wrong in your business, heaven forbid, they could come after your house or your car or your assets, and vice versa. If you do something in your personal life, they could potentially come after your business income and assets and things like that. Mm-hmm. So when you're just starting out and you don't have a lot of personal assets maybe, or you don't have a lot of business assets, it might make sense just to start as a sole proprietor for a little while. But then you get to the point where you might want to create a limited liability company. Mm-hmm. Now, having said that, I'll tell you what that is in a minute. But in some states, sometimes if you're a licensed practitioner like a therapist mm-hmm. or a doctor or other types of medical practitioners, you are required to have a professional corporation or a professional limited liability company because you have a license. Every state law is different. Some states require you to be a PC or a PLLC. Some states say it's an option. It's optional. Some states don't even have PCs or PLLCs, and you can only form an LLC. So you do want to talk to a lawyer and make sure that you know what's right for you. But if you are a licensed practitioner, you can form a corporate entity. And if you're a coach or a non-licensed practitioner, you can usually form an LLC as a good place to start. What is that? Well, limited liability is a company. It's an actual company which is separate from you. It has its own identity under the law, and its purpose is to limit your liability, which is why it's called the limited liability company. What does that mean? Well, that means that if someone happens to come after you for something you've done in your business, heaven forbid, like you can't pay your bills or someone sues you, heaven forbid, we're not trying to draw any energy around that, just telling you what it is. Then if you follow the rules for having an LLC, most likely they can't come and get your personal house and your car and your assets. Vice versa. If you do something in your personal life, most likely they can't come and get your business and use that to pay someone if you've injured them in a car accident or something like that. So these entities are helpful because, one, they help to establish legitimacy. They help to tell people you take your business more seriously. And they also give you that legal protection from a liability standpoint. So they're great, but not everyone needs it right away. But some people do need it right away. And sometimes you have to have that professional type of entity, depending on your circumstances.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for covering that. I know I sprinkled that and I gave a very general snippet, but I wanted, again, the attorney to chime in, and the resource that you have in the book is incredible, and including the podcast. But I really wanted to bring that home where there's many options. These are the two you'll probably have to be worried about in the beginning. And this is the difference. Again, with the thought process, is it too late if somebody's already started their business? Is it too late for them to then open up an LLC?
No. So here's when is a good time to start an LLC, right? Okay, there's two times. First, maybe you're someone who already has a lot of personal assets in your life. Your house is mostly paid off. Your cars are mostly paid off. You may have some inheritance. You may have some income from another job that's significant, or a 401k, or you may have a big savings account. Not everyone has these things, obviously, especially when you're putting money into your business. But if you are in a situation where you have a lot of assets from your family or multiple homes or things like that, it might make sense to have an LLC right away, even if your business is very small and you're just starting out. Otherwise, for many people, you can start as a sole proprietor and start working with your paid clients. And then, as I say in the podcast and in the book, and go into a little more detail, but a good rule of thumb, always talk with your own accountant about your own situation. And by the way, all this information I'm sharing with you is not personalized legal advice. It really is just general information. I do want to share that disclaimer with you. But in general, a good rule of thumb is around $50,000 of gross income a year is a good time to start an LLC. Because you now have a business. This is greater than a hobby. You've really grown it. You know it has a lot of potential. And $50,000 is a good amount of money to lose. So that can be a ballpark figure, but please be sure you talk with an accountant. And then this is one of the steps, as Janessa knows, I have tons of legal templates that you can use and fill out on your own. But this is one step where I want you to at least talk to an attorney before you just go create a legal entity on your own. Make sure you do the right one for the right state where you are.
I love that. And I love that you segued into that, because my next question is, I have a lot of people that have started their business and they have a name, or they have a name in mind. And it's this concept of like, okay, well, wait, I may need an LLC. Does that mean I can't use the name I wanted? Or what if the name I really want, that I think is very cute, and we've gone through this in my own business journey, what if we're really set on that name, but it's not available? So, can somebody just pick a name out of a hat and start using that, is the question.
Well, you kind of just answered that question, Janessa, with your own experience. But okay, so a couple things up when you're using a business name. First of all, I know how exciting it can be to come up with a name that you want to use, particularly if it's not your name. You can use your name as a business name, but what it comes down to, especially with an LLC or any other type of corporate entity, is that it depends on, first, whether that name is available in your state, okay? Because LLCs are formed at the state level. So is that name already taken by someone else in your state who might already have an LLC or a corporation or something with a name that's the same, or even some states that the name is really similar? Or there's a whole nother area called trademarking, where someone has legally protected the right to their name of their company as a brand, for example, and filed a registered trademark with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. And if they have a registered trademark to a name, then if your name is the same or substantially similar, confusingly similar, to that existing name that has a trademark, you don't want to use that business name because they could come after you for potentially violating their trademark rights, violating their intellectual property rights. And you don't want to put all your time and energy into a name that you're not going to be able to use. So it's good to if you're thinking of a business name that's cute and catchy and fun, it's good to actually talk with a lawyer who understands trademark law. Like Janessa and I work together on that. You can also work with any other trademark lawyer, of course, but make sure you check it out so you don't get too far down the road of investing all your time and money and coming up with a logo and a brand name and a design of a website, and then you realize you can't use it. So it happens sometimes, and that's okay. We just do an about face and move a different direction, and sometimes I believe that's divinely designed to lead us in a different direction, but you obviously just want to avoid that if you can.
Okay, so you said two different things. I love how our conversations trickle into something else. So you mentioned websites. I'm going to go to that next. But so trademark versus copyright for the lay people. What is the difference between one and the other?
Okay, these are two totally different areas of the law. We get them confused a lot because they are both intellectual property protections. I do have podcasts about copyright and podcasts about trademarks, so check those out. They're super short, but just to kind of give you an overview right now, copyright is done through the U.S. Copyright Office, and it's a way for the government to acknowledge that you are the original author of a work, meaning a book, a poem, a play, a song, a video, an audio. It could be a million different things, even software, stage plays, like movies, anything that's a creative work that's original, that you haven't copied from anyone else. And that is, they say fixed, meaning that it's not going to change. And that is an original work that you want to have protected. That's what we do when we all think of books, right? When you write a book, you have it copyrighted with the U.S. Copyright Office. And in fact, I always like to share, Janessa, that remember back in high school when we were looking at our biology textbook, and if you opened it up, you always saw like 12th edition, and you're thinking, what in the heck is that? That's where that author has copyrighted their book initially, but then updated it. And then update it again and update it again and update it again. Every time they update it, they have to copyright a separate edition of the book because copyright is for something that's fixed and not changing. So in our world, as a therapist or a coach, we often don't copyright that much. Like you don't want to copyright a web, you can, but it's not ideal to copyright a website or a blog or podcast because it changes all the time. Now you can, like for example, I have copyrighted my podcast scripts. Because that is something that is fixed and not going to change after you release a podcast episode. But if you do a program guide or web page, we change those things all the time. Not really, you might want to copyright it, but not always. Now, trademarking is a totally different thing. Copyright is about authorship and owning the right to your work. By the way, I should mention copyrights you get for 70 years plus the lifetime of the author. So it's about protecting your work from now to the beginning of time, the end of time. Trademark is totally different. Trademarking is about branding and marketing. Okay, so now put on your marketing hat. It's about marketing. So this is for protecting things, I like to say, that are small, right? Like copyright for a book could be hundreds of pages, but trademarks are for small things like a logo, a tagline, a name of a business, a name of a podcast, a name of a program, or something like that. That is designed to protect it from a marketing standpoint, so someone else can't use it or sort of mooch off of the goodwill of your brand. So for example, that's why things like the Nike swoosh and the Starbucks logo and the Lululemon logo are all trademarked, and that's why no one else can go out and create a logo with a green circle and a mermaid in it, because Starbucks will say, wait a minute. Even if that's for something different, we have a really well-established brand here, and we don't want people to be mooching off of our brand identity and using that in their marketing. So trademarking is for marketing purposes only, and that you file with the U.S. Trademark, the Patent and Trademark Office, and you get it for 10 years, and then you can renew for 10 years and renew for 10 years and renew for 10 years. So if you're talking about branding, again, if it's something that's really passionate to you, and you have a lot of potential to use it and it can be associated with a lot of profit, then it makes sense to trademark it. I've trademarked holistic lawyer and legal coach as titles because they're so essential to who I am. But if you're just coming up with a program name or a tagline or something, you're like, no, I don't know if I'll change it in 3 years. Don't trademark that. Save your money. Trademarking is an investment, but you want to do it to protect your brand so no one else can use it or a similar brand in a similar profession going forward.
I love the way that you concisely said that too. It's something that you love and you're attached to and you're sticking with it. And it's an investment. And it really, really is. I know sometimes, so if a clinician is just starting off or an entrepreneur, contracts, we went through that a little bit. I do want to say, and again, I know we've talked about so many of these things already, but I want to make sure that other people are aware. So as a therapist or as a coach or whatever you're doing, is the contract when you're working one-on-one with somebody, or if you're having an event, or if you're having a retreat, or if you have a digital course, is there a one-stop-fits-all document?
That was sort of a leading question. Unfortunately, there's not. And that bums people out when I say that. But when you think about it this way, if you're a therapist and you don't have a one-stop treatment for every type of mental health issue that walks into your office, right? Each person is different. Each situation is different. Whatever trauma they're dealing with is different. Whatever mental disease or illness or condition is different. The circumstances of their case is different. Their history is different. Like everything is different about their situation. So there's no profession really has like a one size fits all answer to something. You even go to your dentist and each tooth they have to do something different to, right? Like it's not like you can have one cavity filling fits every single tooth. All your teeth are different sizes. So I say that kind of facetiously, but we forget, we think that there should just be one legal document for everything, but really every scenario is different. So in a client agreement for a one-on-one client, and you're in like a 3-month coaching program with them where they get calls with you every 2 weeks, and you might have a guide for them. That's very different than a live event where you're speaking on stage and they come and sit in the audience and you might be videotaping the event. You need to get their consent for what's happening there, which is different than an overnight retreat when we can all travel again and you take them all to Hawaii and stay at a resort and do yoga on the beach. Those are different legal limitations and liability that you need to protect yourself from, which is different from doing an online digital course. When they come and check out your digital course and learn from you as an expert how to build their own course or learn how to build their own business, they need to agree to terms that are designed for a digital course. So everything that you're doing might require a different legal document. That's why it's important to talk to a lawyer to figure out and tell them, this is what I'm doing. What do I need? And as you know, Janessa, I'm a big fan of helping people sort of in the moment. Like, what is it you're doing right now? And what do you need right now? Because you don't need every legal document under the sun right now, but you do need what you do need so that you can limit your liability, you can inform and empower your client and help them step up and show up in a way that's really going to help them move forward. So get what you need right now, and then the rest can wait.
And I love the way, first of all, I love the metaphor about just like there's no cookie cutter. I think that really went home to every single therapist listening to this. There is no cookie cutter for every person. We know that. And the way that I see it as well as is every single thing you're doing, whether it is one-on-one or if it's group coaching or a group or an event or a retreat or a digital course, if you love it enough to do it separately, then you need to love it enough to protect it as well.
I thought I've never heard anyone say it that way, Janessa. That's brilliant.
But it's true. I mean, if it values you enough to go out of your way to do something differently, then you need to protect yourself and what you're creating as well, because I'm a big believer too in intellectual property and in the work that we do on any level as in any field. Completely. And I know oftentimes I hear so much from entrepreneurs, especially when they're starting off and they're not making money yet. And they say, you know what, Janessa, I just don't have the money. And I wanted to finish saying, you can't afford not to legally protect yourself and your business and everything you work so hard for. So if there's anything that people are going to invest in, it's their legal area of their business because it's protecting them and themselves. So, Lisa, I don't know if there's any final words you want to say. I'm so grateful for your time. And my whole thing is, like I always say, Lisa's my go-to business attorney. And I don't recommend people I don't believe in. I've worked with you directly and listened to all your advice and read your book. And I think you're beyond amazing. And you can't afford not to get the support that you need when you're starting a business.
Janessa, thank you so much for those kind words. And just to encourage everyone to get their legal support, please work with an attorney that you know and you like and you trust, but be sure that that attorney understands the work that you do. Like, you don't want to be working with a real estate attorney if you're a therapist. You don't want to work with a family attorney if they don't understand coaching. Be sure you're working with an attorney who understands the work that you do. I'm also happy to help you if I'm able to do so. And just know that you can get started. It's not as expensive as you think. It doesn't have to be as expensive as you think. The DIY legal templates can each start with a one payment of $107 to get a template, and you can do 4 payments. Like, what lawyer does that?
That's a no-brainer to me completely.
So give yourself the gift of the legal protection to help you feel safe and secure and confident and empowered. And then keep learning from Janessa, because she has done a fabulous job at getting her business situated, obviously having the gift of being a therapist and a coach, but working with different clients separately and helping to structure 2 different businesses. She knows what she's doing. So thank you for your leadership, Janessa, and thank you for inviting me to join you. And thank you, everyone, for the work that you're doing, whether you're a therapist or whether you're a coach, because the world really needs all of this support in the mental health field and also in the coaching field. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. It's been an honor as always. So much amazing info, right? As promised, I have links to all the resources we talked about, including a link to Lisa's book and links to her DIY templates, which are a no-brainer for any entrepreneur who loves their business. Visit www.janmarietlc.com/8 for episode 8 to get your hands on everything now. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am so excited you tuned in. The best way to find out the second a new episode is released and receive all the valuable tools and actionable steps I share is to subscribe to the podcast, so make sure you do that. If there are any topics you'd like addressed, or if you have any burning questions you want answered, visit janmarietlc.com/podcast. And make sure to share this with any other entrepreneur friends that you know can benefit from learning the mindset it takes to create a business and life they truly love. And last but definitely not least, I would love your feedback. So leave a review and I'll make sure to share that love on a future podcast episode. Sending you so much love. Until next time.